What's good, Gooners and Goonerettes? Arsenal beat Portsmouth 2-0, and it was a very, very tactical, smart game that Arsenal played. These teams are going to come at us from the lower leagues regardless because the way how they look at Premiership football teams, especially Arsenal, is that we have a weak underbelly, we can't deal with the rough and tough stuff, and we don't like a battle, we don't like a challenge. And many times, even this is indicative of the Leeds result, isn't it? Remember when Leeds played us man to man, and then they tried to rush us all over the park, and then in the second half it just tailed off because it's impossible, guys, for you to play that way for 90 minutes. It is. So if you can hold your own, keep compact, and have a nice shape and weather the storm, it's a rope the dope. It's a Foreman Ali. You just let the other team punch themselves out and then you spring them on the attack. And then once you get them down and their heads drop, very rarely will you see a team recover from that, especially a lower league team because they already have that going against them. Now, Portsmouth, I thought they had a great display last night. I thought they came at us. I thought they showed us what they were all about. They showed us their identity. But at the end of the day, I think Pablo Mari, who played really, really well, and so did David Luiz. David Luiz was man of the match, mind you. They really weathered the storm, and Arsenal pretty much dominated the game. If you look at the fact that Portsmouth, in the end, only had 26% of possession, and Arsenal had 74% possession, literally, it was pretty much one-sided. 10 minutes towards the end of the first half, I think that you just couldn't look past. For 60 minutes, Arsenal just dominated the game, and Portsmouth didn't even look like coming back into it in the second half. But I want to give some big shout outs in that game to, as I said, Pablo Mari looked stable, he looked assertive, and actually he was really vocal. I'm surprised to see somebody that vocal for his first Arsenal game. Wasn't that shocking? I mean, I haven't heard anybody that vocal since Per Mertesacker. Really, guys, it's been that long. It really has. 2015, 5 years ago, when Arsenal had the best defensive record in the Premier League, letting in 20 goals in that calendar year. You can check the stats. I'll put them right up here for you if you can't remember. But I haven't seen a centre-back that commanding in terms of his presence, his stout, the way he reads the game. Look, it's just his first game. It's just against Portsmouth. But just like Tony Cox said on the panel of 101 Weekly, it's time we see this guy who is apparently the best centre-back voted in South America. It's time we see him go up against the Premier League giants. And we've got Spurs, Liverpool, Man City. We've got some big games coming up. Put this guy in and see what it's all about. Yeah, I'd like to see him against Leicester City, Wolves. We've got some big games coming up. Put this guy into the line of fire and see if he sinks or swims. You're going to learn nothing from Mustafi. I love the fact that Mustafi's put his act together, and yes, he's made his place in the team to start next to Luiz. But if you lose him this summer, you've gained nothing. And this, for me, is all about transition. This is a transitional period. This is a time for Arteta to see what works and what doesn't work. And I think he pretty much has had a good string of performances by Mustafi. And you've got to take your hat off to Mustafi for that. But some people, and I'll mention the names, and we'll move up the field. Willock, I'm not going to give Willock a shout out because I have been on his back for the last few games, and yesterday was still a subpar performance from Willock. I still think he has a ways to go. Guendouzi had a decent game last night. I think he played well. It's a real shame what happened with Torreira. We haven't had the logistics yet of what has actually happened and what it was, but it didn't look good. And I just want to say as well, I got a lot of respect for the Portsmouth fans. I remember going up there when we had Thierry Henry and they were giving him a standing ovation when he came off the field. And what I saw last night was disgusting. Chanting about Torreira's knee injury when he was down was embarrassing. It's just something that you don't see or hear in the Premier League. You know what? I got to call it out for what it is. Those section of fans, they need to fix up themselves because that's embarrassing. It's disgusting. You never sing and chant when somebody goes down injured. You just don't do it from a humane point of view. And that was just disgusting what we saw. But it's a shame. Hopefully it's not bad news with Torreira. Man, this is a guy who can't catch a break. He can't get into the team. Sabalas actually had, what was it? He went off. Torreira went off after 15 minutes. So Sabalas had a rest for about 15 minutes, and he's going to go straight into the deep end at West Ham again this weekend. Saka had no rest at all whatsoever. Saka has literally played 5 games in the last 12 days, 12 or 13 days. I mean, wow. This 18-year-old, he's just going to get, he looks like he's burnt out. Last night, although he was playing really well at times, he just looked like that zip wasn't there. And I don't blame the guy because he's gassed, man. He needs a rest. And I know it's Monday today, and I'm sure Arteta will kind of go easy on him this week because, seriously, most of the team had a rest out of this game today. There were 9 changes against Portsmouth. But the guy who really stood out for me, and I'm talking twofold now, was Reiss Nelson. 2 assists and just looked dominant. He's position in space, his technical ability with the ball, running in the final third, the way he played off the ball, defending. As I said, I talked about this guy being an Iwobi, but he seems to have a little bit more in the final third, a little bit more vision, a little bit more of that final ball, which Iwobi didn't have. And this guy's 20 years old. He's getting it done. He's getting it done. And you have to consider the fact that Pepe's in that role. One of the guys, I think it might have been Bertram. Bertram in the panel said that he would move Pepe to the 10. I mean, I'd move Martinelli to the 10. But either way, I think we're all talking long-term what happens when Ozil's not here. But listen, I like Reiss Nelson, man. I like what he's doing. I liked what he did before Pepe came into the side and he started those 2 games away to Everton, etc. But he really looks like he's on the ball, and the hamstring injury came at a really bad time for him because we would have seen more rotation in the team as well. So listen, big shout out to him. But again, most of all, Eddie Nketiah, wow. And again, just like last week, he makes a run between 2 centre-backs. He's 10 yards off. The centre-backs are looking around in the box. They see no Arsenal players around them. Just a split second, bang, this guy, the yellow flash, the Naruto of Arsenal Football Club, just blindingly closes down on these 2 centre-backs right in between them and gets that nice first touch and then finishes with the right. And it's just a Premiership striker's goal, as the commentary team said yesterday. Listen, this guy has now got 2 goals in 3 starts. And he's hit the woodwork twice. And he was a second leading goal scorer at Leeds. Who didn't want him? In fact, if you go back to the Premier League, if you go back to his professional career, he now has 13 goals in 29 games. Let that sink in for a second. Eddie Nketiah is nearly averaging a goal every 2 games. I said all this guy does is score. That's it. And I'm hearing reports now Lacazette might leave, and then Lacazette came out and said he ain't going to leave. And look, I don't care whichever way they're looking at it. Arteta has started Nketiah for the last 2 league games. And you know what, guys? He's probably going to start against West Ham. That's just the long and short of it. Because I can't see what Lacazette is doing that is better than Eddie right now. Eddie is better running into the box on those late runs. His movement's better. He's closing down and playing off the ball defensively is better. And this guy has just got an attuned technical intelligence for football. He just has. He is just a smart football player. And you guys know I quoted him as our Andy Cole and Dwight York. And this guy will get 20 goals a season for you. Easy. Easy. And I just want to say big shout out to him yesterday. I think the team has come up against it. Yesterday was the 9 changes was definitely a confidence thing, I think, for those guys who lost against Olympiacos. It's a real shame. But look, water under the bridge, or as they say, water off the back of a duck's ass, and we just move on. You come down from the Champions League, and you kind of expect to do well, but it is what it is. Arsenal now have got to move on, and we move on to the quarterfinals. I hope that we get City in the semi-finals or finals. I really do. And wouldn't that be nice for Pep Guardiola to go up against Mikel Arteta. It would be really nice. And Arteta to show him what he's got in that team. Because this team's working so hard off the ball. They really are. And we're not even anywhere close to the finished article. We're still a work in progress. But listen, we look forward to West Ham this weekend. And thanks, guys, for joining us in the podcast on the weekend. What a great show it was. Such a pleasure to do. And we like to leave the non-football stuff at the end of the podcast. And the situation that came up was boxing. And it was very passionate discussion. And big respect to Tony Cox and Bertram Spence. Big respect to those two guys. And hopefully we will get Ebony back from the US this week. I know she's been missing for quite a while, so it'd be really good to hear her thoughts. And actually, she'll be able to tell us about her trip as well and her experiences out there in the States talking to all the Arsenal fans. And so I can't wait for that. So listen, let's take a look at what's going to happen against West Ham. And we'll speak to you guys later on in the week, man. Peace out. Right back at you. And back your team, boys. Don't forget, man, there's a lot of negativity going on YouTube and in the fan base, and there's people sticking the boot in on the team for the losing against Olympiacos, people getting on Arteta's back. And listen, there's a lot of that going on. You ain't going to find it on this channel. You're going to find pure love for the Arsenal Football Club. We will be subjective and we will critique. We'll be critical, but at the same time, we love our boys. We love the badge. We love our team, and we back Arsenal. Yeah? So if you want to come here for the right stuff, this is the right channel. And thanks again to all you new subscribers. Peace.